Good evening, everyone. You are in the spotlight with Brian Gardner for this Thursday, January the 5th, 2017. Good to have you here for our second of three shows this week. Hope your week so far has been treating you well. As always, before we get started here, I'm going to remind you all the ways in which you can interact and contribute to our show. Have your voice heard by emailing us at itspotlight411@gmail.com. You can also follow us and tweet us at itspotlight411. Please remember to use the hashtag #ITSpotlight411 for anything you tweet regarding our show. And you can also find us on Facebook. Just search for In the Spotlight 411 on Facebook, and then make sure you like our fan page upon finding it. All right, here we are on this Thursday here. We got an entertainment program here on tap for you tonight. We'll do our box office beat. We'll be discussing a couple entertainment news topics. And, of course, the big event here for the night, we will be unveiling our plans for the 7th Annual In the Spotlight Film Awards. We'll be starting that process tonight. So, obviously, a very important time of year for us. I'll talk more about that in just a moment. So first, also want to remind everybody about tomorrow's program, In the Spotlight Football Blitz, currently scheduled for 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. Again, that could be pushed later. It depends. We'll do a little bit of a makeup for what happened last week, go over some of the bowl games that we haven't talked about, make some predictions for the national championship on Monday. In addition to that, we'll also look back at the last couple of weeks of NFL games, the end of the regular season in the NFL, and of course, we'll look ahead to this week's wild card playoff weekend. Wild card playoff weekend, always a big deal. Potential for upsets. First two rounds of the NFL playoffs are always really the most interesting, I think, because you do have potential for upsets, and there's more games, so there's more potential for better games. So we'll look over this week's wild card playoff games, and of course, discuss them, make predictions. All that will be coming up on the show tomorrow. As Mike appears, Mike, you are in the spotlight.
I've been in the spotlight.
I know you are, but until you appear on camera, you're not truly in the spotlight.
I was on camera.
Anyway. Okay, so a little bit about next week really quickly here. Next week, 3 shows, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Football Blitz, of course, being on Friday. On Tuesday, we are going to be doing a little bit of obviously we'll do college basketball because that's obviously going to be the big sport now out in the NFL. And if anything happens in the NBA or MLB, we'll make sure to talk about it. But mostly on Tuesday, I think we'll be doing some wrestling. It'll be just basically like this past Tuesday show. And then Thursday, entertainment. And we might be doing something special on Thursday. I don't know what yet. I'll talk more about that on Tuesday. I'm trying to get something together for Thursday. There's something I wanted to do in December that we didn't have time for that I'm going to try to make room for. So I'll talk more about that on Tuesday. I'm not being vague on purpose. I just want to make sure we have the time and the allowances to do it. So just stay tuned for that. But otherwise, we do our usual entertainment stuff on top of whatever special thing we have coming up. And then, of course, Friday again will be the football blitz. So that's what's a little bit about what's coming up next week. A lot of people have been asking about schedules and what we're going to be doing throughout the rest of January and February. I learned my lesson about getting too far ahead of ourselves because with scheduling and the way this format is right now, I don't want to go crazy. So, especially when we're probably going to be moving sooner rather than later, much to Mike's joy and satisfaction. So we're trying to expedite that. So I don't want to plan some things when they might not be, then things might be a little bit different. So I'm going to be, we're going to go kind of episode to episode, week to week right now until that situates itself here. The goal has always been to try to get this move done in January. And I think that's going to actually happen. But we'll see. I don't have a particular date in mind, although Jeff Tech has been badgering me about it. So you'll have that going for you. All right. So we will I just lost my train of thought. Wow. We will start with the awards stuff tonight. We'll start with the awards stuff tonight. Now, before anybody asks, we're not really changing too much of the format. We're not changing any of the categories. It's going to be the same situation, same process, same categories, pretty much same deal. We're not altering anything. So You don't have to worry about that. And it's the same thing now for those that are new to this. When we first started when we first started doing this, um, you know, Mike knows it was annoying. We used to spend like a half hour to 45 minutes explaining everything in great detail. We don't do that anymore because everything you need to know is on the ballot. Rules, how we think you should look at, judge, and how when you're putting your nominations on paper or when you're choosing your winners, we even put suggestions on there about how you should look at, because the idea is obviously people are going to be biased. Obviously people are going to have their favorites. That's going to be the case. It's just the way it is. But we also want you to kind of look at this from an objective point of view. And that's not necessarily meant to be a knock on anybody, but that's the goal, to try to get the best representation of film. And when we do TV awards, TV, for that particular year, and most of the time, I think we do that. So that's the goal. So when you look at your ballot, should you choose to participate, you'll see all the important dates that you need, all the categories around there, along with the slots, how many slots for each category, how many nominations. So it'll be like, if there's 5 nominees for that category, you'll have 5 slots there. Just fill them out. And it'll all be pretty self-explanatory. And then again, you'll have suggestions on the bottom of how to look at things like, if you're just how to look at it from an objective point of view, like how you should view things. Like if you're choosing a movie for Best Picture, maybe think of it from an production standpoint, a writing standpoint, acting standpoint, a financial standpoint. Look at it from all different directions and all different angles, and that's really the best way to kind of get a sense of like what really is the best movie in a lot of ways. So, or the best movies in some, if you're deciding on nominations. So you'll all know what I mean when you look at the ballot. Most of you, I'd imagine, are people that have done this before, so this is old hat for you. So again, everything's on it. Now, how do you get a ballot? Okay, for these film awards, our 7th annual film awards. All you need to do, and you can start doing this right now, and you'll have a week to do this from now until next Thursday, which I believe is the 12th. Yes, January the 12th. For the next 7 days, you will have the opportunity to send us an email requesting a ballot. Now, it takes 2 seconds. You can do that right during the show tonight. That's what I recommend, just so that you don't forget to do it. And then we'll start sending them out immediately tonight, and then, we'll keep up with them throughout the week. So the deadline for request for a ballot is next Thursday, January 12th at 9:00 p.m. Eastern Time. Okay, so keep that in mind. 9:00 p.m. Eastern Time next Thursday is your deadline for these ballot requests for the On the Spotlight Film Awards for this year. That's the first step. That's how you get involved. Once that happens, okay, once we get past the ballot request round, you go into the nomination round. And I got an echo effect. I apologize for that. So that's the first step. So again, next Thursday is the deadline for that. Now, after that, we usually give you a good amount of time to look over things, and because the idea is for you to look back at some films or look back at the year, what films you may have seen and what you think should go where, and judge for yourself on what you think the nominations are gonna be. So we try to give you a few weeks of time. Now the idea is, remember, we always try to time these with the week after the Oscars. That's usually what we try to do. The week after the Oscars, because the whole idea is, but the joke used to be that we want to rub the ugly taste of the Oscars out of your mouth if you're disappointed in the winners or the nominees and all that stuff. So that's generally how we look at it. So the week after the Oscars is usually when we have the awards show, and that will be very much the case this year. So here's the important dates. So again, ballot request deadline next Thursday, the 12th. Now I'm just looking at my calendar because I have a date here that doesn't match up with a day. So hang on a second. Okay. All right. So what's going to happen and that doesn't make much sense. See, that's why. Hang on a second. 1 second. I want to make sure I got this right. There it is. Okay. All right. So February 26th. Okay. So the awards show is going to be held on Thursday, March 2nd. So the deadline for the nominations, for nomination submissions, is January the 26th. January the 26th. Thursday, January 26th will be the deadline for the nomination ballots for the In the Spotlight Film Awards, and then we will announce the nominations live on the show on Thursday, February 2nd. And then you will have 2 weeks to submit winning ballots, and then let's see here. Yeah, 2 weeks to submit winning ballots. So February 16th will be the deadline for the winning ballots. It doesn't take you that long to decide between the nominees. And then we will announce the winners on Thursday, March the 2nd, because the Academy Awards will take place on Sunday, February 26th. So that's the way the format is going to go. Now, again, these dates will be on your ballot. So, you won't have to kind of ask it. But if you have any questions or comments or whatever throughout the process, you can always email us, Facebook us, or tweet us. However, any submissions for these awards, okay, have to be made by email only. Do not try to submit something by Facebook or Twitter. It's just too messy. So by email only at itspotlight411@gmail.com. Again, itspotlight411@gmail.com. And please label it as Film Awards 2017. Okay? And that's the way we're going to do it. So please keep that in mind. That, of course, will be spelled out on your ballot as well. Now, again, ballot request deadline next Thursday, 9 o'clock from Eastern Time. That's January the 12th. Nomination ballots. Okay, once you get your ballot, you can start looking at it and start filling it out. You have until Thursday, January 26th at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern for the nomination ballots to be sent into our email box. And then on Thursday, February 2nd, we will announce the nominations for the 7th Annual In the Spotlight Film Awards. That same night that we announce the nominations, we'll also present you with the categories for the live voted awards that will be presented live during the In the Spotlight Film Awards on Thursday, March 2nd. Live voted awards are awards that you'll vote on live during the show, during the awards show on March the 2nd. So we'll give you the categories, and then we'll ask you all to submit your nominees, what nominees that you want, that things should be nominations you think should be in those categories, and then we'll unveil those nominees at the start of the show on the night of the awards, March the 2nd. So right when we start off, we'll say, okay, here's the live voted awards, here's your nominees. We'll present you with them, and then you'll have about an hour during the broadcast to vote on those live voted awards. And we'll announce the winners of those live voted awards right before we announce the award for Best Picture or Best Film at the end of the night. So those of you that might not get the chance to participate in the major awards throughout the process, like the nominations, all that, you can still participate in the live voted awards. You can still participate in that. However, if you do not, as far as the major awards go, as far as, this whole deal with deciding the nominees and everything, if you don't participate from the start, you can't be involved. So don't think this is not one of those cases where you don't help to decide the nominee. Like, let's say you don't send a ballot request and you don't help to decide the nominees. And then right around the time we announce the nominees, like, oh, I want to vote. You can't do that. Okay, you have to start at the beginning and go through the whole process with us. It's very important that you do that. But again, if you forget or for some reason you're not involved, you can always participate in the live voted awards during the awards broadcast on March the 2nd. So please keep that in mind. All right, so again, ballot request deadline next Thursday, January the 12th, 9 o'clock from Eastern. Nomination ballots due Thursday, January 26th, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Nominations will be announced Thursday, February 2nd, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Winning ballots will be due Thursday, February 16th, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. And then the awards show, the In the Spotlight Film Awards, the 7th Annual In the Spotlight Film Awards will take place on Thursday, March the 2nd at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Now, these dates could change. Don't count on them changing, okay? Sometimes I do push things back, depends on how everything goes. But don't assume that, okay? Honor the deadlines as best you can. Sometimes I'm a little lenient, but don't assume that that's going to happen, please. Okay, so that's all the information you need to know. So the process has begun. You can start submitting your ballot request now. And again, we'll be getting back to you as soon as the show is over tonight and starting to send out those ballots. And as soon as you get your ballot, you can go right to work on it. All right. So with that being said, that is the In the Spotlight Film Awards for this year. Now, again, no changes or anything, no big announcements. It is what it is. It works well, so why change it? We're excited. It's really the thing that put our show on the map. It's always one of my favorite things. It's kind of like my baby, so I love it. So let's have a good year. Let's have a good award period here, and let's kind of do what the Oscars and the Golden Globes should do and reward the best in film. So, all right, that's it. That's done. We're done with that. Hooray! Yay! All right, so now we will jump into the box office, and we're going to speed things along here because I don't really have a lot to say. Because here's the thing, folks, there was no new releases last weekend. So there's nothing to really talk about. You look at last weekend, basically you had a couple of expanded releases. Let's see here. I'm what the heck just happened to my... Okay, that's weird. Sorry about that. My screen just went berserk. Hang on. Wow, that's weird. Okay. All right. So, all right, here we go. So you had no really new release. Now, again, just like Christmas weekend, you had some people that looked at it from a 3-day standpoint. Some people looked at it for a 4-day standpoint because people had Monday off in some respects. Doesn't matter how you looked at it. Rogue One was the weekend champ either way. Now, this ended up being a bigger box office weekend than normal because, again, people had Monday off, and that kind of factored into it. And despite New Year's Eve, it kind of helped the box office a little bit. So it ended up being a big box office. And again, no major new releases. A couple movies expanded release like Manchester by the Sea, La La Land, Fences, all these kind of awards movies. They all expanded releases. Hidden Figures started in limited release, which it did about 858,000. So, but other than that, no new releases. Rogue One dominated, made over 60 million for the 4 days, 49.6 million for the 3 days, continues to dominate. Sing did very well, over 40 million for the 3-day period. Passenger 16.1, which really in the second weekend kind of evened things out a little bit from its bad first week. Moana did a huge jump, which goes to show you that maybe some families that didn't go out Christmas weekend to see Moana went out the second weekend, New Year's weekend, which is interesting with Sing out. That's probably the most interesting thing about these box office stats is Moana jumping up and doing so well with Sing doing so well. So, but families were off and around and wanted to see a movie. So 10.9 million for Moana. Why Him, 10 million. Fences, a little over 10 million. La La Land, 9.5. 8.6 for Assassin's Creed. And then everything else was under 5 million. Not a good number for Assassin's Creed if you were hoping that it would pick up some steam in its second week. It did not. It's at 95.2 million worldwide, so it's probably going to end up breaking even, but certainly not what they wanted and certainly not enough to justify a franchise at this point. The story is the success of Sing, the continued success of Moana, and Rogue One, which is just dominating right now. No matter which way you look at it, it's dominating. And now, before people ask, Passengers is over its budget, so it's not going to be a total flop. But generally, I think people would have expected a little bit more. That second weekend really did help it. But still, you have to expect a little bit more than what it did, given who was starring in it. But anyway, the story. I mean, the big story is really Rogue One, and I'm sure what's happened with Carrie Fisher, may she rest in peace, had played a role in it. But at the same time, I think this movie was destined to be successful. Was it surprising that it was successful to this extent? Maybe, I guess the only thing I would say I was surprised by is I thought maybe the splits would be different. I thought it would make a little bit more money overseas than domestically because it was going to play better to Asian markets. But nonetheless, it's done very well. And it hasn't even opened in China yet. I think it's opening tomorrow in China or around tomorrow in China. So 829.1 million worldwide. It's well on its way to $1 billion worldwide, and it's another success for Disney and for Star Wars. Not much else you can say. As for this weekend, you have one major release, one release expanding, two releases, three releases expanding, but two expanding into somewhat major release. The major release this weekend is Underworld Blood Wars from Sony Screen Gems, opening in 3,070 theaters. It's already made 42.1 million overseas, so it's already over its budget just because of that. So anything else it does is gravy at this point. It's R-rated. You expect Star Wars to be number one again, especially given how it's been doing. It'll probably suffer a big drop off, but you figure it could still pull in with college students still off 20 to 30 million, and that's still going to be enough. I don't see Underworld breaking 20 million. So it looks like Star Wars for repeat. Underworld might settle into that $15-16 million mark there. Hidden Figures will be the next biggest release. It's expanding into 2,471 theaters. It's a drama from Fox, getting a lot of buzz. It's already made 2.8 million domestically in its limited release, starring Taraji P. Henson, Octavia Spencer, Kirsten Dunst, Jim Parsons, and Kevin Costner. It will play more to an older audience. It does have a small production budget, 25 million, which it should easily attain. I would think third place should be where it will settle. Probably 12, 13 million seems pretty good. A Monster Calls, a fantasy drama from Focus Features, will be expanding into 1,523 theaters. It'll be the third biggest release this weekend. It's already made 30.1 million overseas, 88,000 here. So it's off to a good start of 30.2 million. PG-13, starring Felicity Jones, Toby Cabell, Sigourney Weaver, and Liam Neeson, has a lot of buzz around it. This could be a surprise. Now, right now, because of its theater count, it's not going to make over 10 million. But if it gets enough good word of mouth just from its limited release, it could once it expands, it could do some pretty good numbers, solid numbers. I think I think it'll easily settle into around fourth place or maybe 10, 11 million, even with the 1.5 million. I think it could do that with the cast and the marketing campaign it's had. And then after that, you have Lion, a drama from Weinstein Company, opening in 600 theaters. So expanding into 600 theaters, I should say. Starring Nicole Kidman, Rooney Mara, and Dev Patel. It's already made $7,500 domestic. PG-13. I don't expect that movie to break 5 million. I mean, in fact, I'd be surprised when it breaks 3 million, given the theater count and the lack of talk about it. Important to note, Patriots Day opened last Sunday and expanded a little bit on the 4th. It's open in 7 theaters wide, but it will be expanding its release over the next couple of weeks. So keep an eye on that one. That one's going to do a lot of money, obviously. It'll be fully expanding next Friday, the 13th. So keep an eye out for that movie. So the way I think I see it this weekend, Star Wars will repeat at number one, anywhere from 20 to 30 million. I know it's a big range, but you don't know how it's going to fall off now that the holidays have passed. Second, I think we'll go to Underworld Blood Wars, probably around 15, 16 million. Hidden Figures, I'm going to go around 11 or 12 million. A Monster Calls, maybe 9.5, 10 million. I think Sing will drop considerably with kids back in school, probably around 8 million. Moana will drop under 5 million easily. Passengers, probably around 6 million or so. And everything else will be under 5 million. That's how I see this weekend going. It'll be another weekend of Star Wars dominance, I believe. Mike, any thoughts on the box office?
No.
Okay. So, with that being said, it's been a while. We haven't done. Now we're going to bring back TV highlights next week because a lot of TV shows have just come back this week, and it gives us 2 full weeks of content to kind of look at. So we'll do that next week. We'll bring that segment back next week, along with our film picks of the week, which we haven't done in a few months. We'll bring that back next week as well. We haven't done it. A lot of people have been asking. We haven't done any entertainment news discussion, so that's what we're going to do here for the rest of the show.
I'll do the TV highlights.
Oh, well, by all means then. Okay, I guess we'll do it
because you don't have something doesn't mean I don't.
Well, of course you have something.
Yeah, so stop sucking.
Okay, fine. Well, you can control
Get
it.
on my level.
You can control the TV because I don't have any TV highlights. So you go ahead. TV highlights. Mike is insisting upon it. Go ahead.
That's because you's a bitch. But speaking about people who are not a bitch, time for TV highlights. There were a couple TV shows that returned this week that should have your attention. Um, I don't know if we talked about it, but over the Christmas break we had Doctor Who: The Return of Doctor Mysterio. BBC. I don't think the BBC's played it since, but if they have, you should watch it because it was a nice take. There was Doctor Who's take um, on a superhero story, and it had Christmas in there too. So it was great. Matt Lucas was in it as the companion Nardole. He's fantastic. Glad he's sticking around. I don't know if we talked about it or not, but it was great. So if you could find a way to watch it, please do. Worth your time. Great, great standalone Doctor Who story. Justin Chatwin from Dragon Ball Evolution. He did pretty fantastic here as the Ghost, and the other and his the Ghost alias, whatever his name is, I forgot. I'm blanking on it, but it's a great, 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 great Doctor Who show. And it's not like Justin Chatwin hasn't done stuff after Dragon Ball Evolution. He's actually been to quite a few successful things and shows. It's just he was in Dragon Ball Evolution. Brutal. All right. Speechless came back this week. Talk about worth waiting for. This was a great half hour of comedy. Fantastic. Tugged at your heartstrings in places. It really did. I feel a little bad for the principal. So I'm just saying, Speechless is worth your time, worth your energy. Watch it. Watch it. Watch it. Watch it. Because it was such a good episode. It's such a great series. It needs more. It needs more love. So watch some Speechless. Bull came back this week. Bull had an. I was surprised about how good the episode was. This series has been really good so far, but this might have been the most interesting one so far. Bull was absolutely fantastic. It's a great show. This one was super engaging, totally worth your time. Watch Bull. It's one of the best new shows. Speaking of best new shows, guess what came back this week? I'll give you a hint. Lethal Weapon. This one was a really interesting episode because there were some swerves here that I wasn't expecting. And on top of that, it was just good lord, what a great show, what a great episode. It was very emotional at times. It was awkward at times. It's everything you could hope for. It was great. Totally worth watching. Lethal Weapon. It's probably the best new show this year. By a long shot. It's probably the best new show this year. Let's see. What else came back? Oh, yes. Sherlock made its series 4 premiere, and it was worth the wait, and it was a kick in the dick. I'm not going to spoil the ending, but I am going to say that everything that could have gone wrong for Sherlock and John went wrong. And I don't even think we've got to the main. I mean, we kind of are hinting at the main antagonist. And Moriarty continues to be the overarching kind of villain, especially this season. So, Sherlock, my God, acting, as always, acting, writing, directing was top notch. Everyone came to play. It was a great, great episode. It was engaging from beginning to end. Fantastic. totally a gut punch. It's hard to talk about at the end. Some fans of Sherlock are glad that it that this happened. Some fans of Sherlock are not. I can see both ways. I can see both points of views. However, as an episode itself, the Six Thatchers was a fantastic episode. Just a heads up, for everybody, they from Moffat and Gaddis,
Mm-hmm.
they said that Series 4, Episode 2 was probably the hardest episode on Sherlock and Watson. Harder than this episode. Harder than they said this is going to be the roughest episode for these two characters in the entire series. And not just Series 4, the entire Series 1 through 4. And Abominable Bride. So we're in for it. I'm excited for it. But we are in for it. So Sherlock continues to prove why it's one of the greatest shows ever made at this point. It's just fan-friggin-tastic. So Sunday, Series 4, Episode 2, you need to be watching. And if you have not been watching, then I humbly ask, what the hell is wrong with you? I mean, I know somebody in your house who isn't watching. That's because this person is on Tumblr most of the time. God bless him, he's on Tumblr. And I know he's on Tumblr right now because I'm on Tumblr, and he was the most recent reblock. He was my most recent reblog. It's unbelievable. I wish I was making this up. I just put it on Tumblr, and literally the newest thing was from this individual who shall not be named. But he's there and he's not watching Sherlock, and I do not know why. Probably because he gets everything he needs to know about Sherlock from Tumblr.
Is that your last highlight?
Sherlock was, in fact, my last highlight. So the shows that you should be watching this week are Lethal Weapon, Speechless, Bull, and Sherlock. Conviction aired, but I haven't seen the episode yet.
Don't bother. It's gone. It's going to be gone in like a month.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The series is good.
I'm glad you mentioned Sherlock last because one of our entertainment topics that people have been asking us about over these last couple of weeks revolves around something to do with Sherlock. There's rumors that Tom Hiddleston will be guest starring on Sherlock.
Guest starring like he's going to appear.
The other
or guest starring like he's Toby Jones.
Well, I don't know the extent of it, but they're saying that he might be the other brother.
Ooh, Sherringford.
Yep. It's been speculated for a very long time that he's going to be doing it, but they're being like very evasive about addressing it.
Well, then they're going to have to make Tom Hiddleston look older than Mark Gatiss, because Sherringford, they finally hinted at the third Holmes brother, and Mycroft made a call to him in this episode.
Yeah.
Because what the whole thing with the Holmes brothers, and I'm just going to throw this out there for people that don't know.
Sure.
Sherringford in the original Doyle books wasn't a character. He was the tentative name for Sherlock Holmes. It was going to be Sherringford Holmes. But they changed it to Sherlock, and that was that. But just as an allusion to that, that the rumor's gone on about a third Holmes brother. So they go, well, Sherringford is a good name for the third Holmes brother. And in terms of intelligence, the Holmes brothers are sharing. It's old. The smartest is the oldest, and the youngest is the dumbest of the bunch, even though they're eons above everybody else. Sherringford is the oldest Holmes brother. Mycroft is the middle, so when he's more intelligent than Sherlock, and then Sherlock is Sherlock. So there you go. There's your lesson.
Um, yeah. So but that's been speculated. So I'm hey, you know what? It could happen. Could
It's a
happen.
good It's a good casting choice.
Could happen. Um, so that's one piece of information. Um, Another piece of information today revolved around the late Carrie Fisher. Lucasfilm is going to be exploring their options for the Leia character now that with the recent news that she has passed. They're going to discuss everything from recasting, doing the whole CGI thing to or to just writing out the character completely. Now, here's the issue. The word was that she had she had completed filming on episode 8. There is talk that she has not done that there were still 2 scenes that had to be filmed, or that wasn't complete as we all thought. That's not confirmed. There's also talk that she was supposed to be a huge part of episode 9. Her role was supposed to be increased in episode 8 and then increased further in episode 9. So, look, this is a rough situation because when you look at it from the standpoint that this whole story arc, Rey and Kylo Ren, and look, Leia is the villain's mother. Okay, I mean this is something that I don't. It's going to be interesting to see how they play this. There was a lot, for those that have seen Rogue One, that there was a character in that movie that was completely CGI because the actor had passed, and that was very uncomfortable for a lot of people. It's a delicate issue. It's a careful issue. Obviously, you'd have to talk to the family. I don't know what they're going to do here, because number one, I don't know what's done and not done in episode 8. And I do not know what their plans are. I don't know what their. I just know it's going to be very hard to write to write Leia out when Han is gone, and if she's that much of a crucial part of this arc, this whole storyline, then I don't know what you can do. It's a very difficult thing to deal with, both for the movie, but also more importantly for everybody that loved her, and it's just a horrible situation. So something to keep an eye on here. They're going to have meetings this week to decide what they're going to do. They have plenty of time, but it's something that definitely it's going to be something to see going forward here, how it unfolds. So that's a big piece of news today. Mike, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but
I barely heard the story, to be honest with you. So they're exploring their options because Leia was supposed to be a big part.
Her role was going to be increasing with each movie of this trilogy. So the third movie was probably going to be a very big movie for her,
Well, that's not surprising, but look, things happened.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to roll with the biggest punch of your series history right now. I swear to God, get Mark Hamill and put him in a safe spot.
Yeah.
Because he needs to be protected. Mark Hamill now is probably going to have the biggest role. He has to have one of the biggest roles in the next one, even bigger than everybody else at this point. Not just Rey and Finn, but he's. I don't know. They're going to have to make up for the loss somehow, but they have to honor the loss. That's the most important thing. And some asshole is driving outside my house, beeping the horn on unsalted roads. What a dick. Maybe they should slow down. That's all I got to say about that.
Another news, it was spilled today by Anya Taylor-Joy. For those that do not know, she is a co-star of James McAvoy in his upcoming movie Split. They were asking her about New Mutants, which is supposedly going to be the next X-Men film at 20th Century Fox. And they were asking if she wanted to be involved in it. Of course, she was interested, and she was asked about James McAvoy, and she hinted that James is already a part of it. And there had been rumors that Professor X would be in that movie as a mentor. Now that seems to be the case. Now, if you've been following this, and this is why I'm bringing this up, there was rumors that with Hugh Jackman stepping away from Wolverine, that they were going to reboot X-Men again completely, and not just with a Back to the Days of Future Past thing, but completely reboot it. Because without Hugh Jackman, and with the idea that maybe McAvoy, Fassbender, and Jennifer Lawrence, who all agreed that that they'd all have to agree to come back to all come back. If they weren't going to come back, why bother? You've lost all your big actors. Well, now James McAvoy is apparently going to be working on New Mutants. And then this week there was news that Ryan Reynolds has this idea for a Wolverine Deadpool team-up movie, and Hugh seemed at least interested, intrigued by the idea, although he hasn't said that he's rethinking his decision. So now McAvoy a part of this, and Hugh Jackman starting to back away from it. So nobody really knows, and that's, I guess, what people want us to react to is what the hell is going on with the X-Men franchise, because outside of Deadpool, it's pretty uncertain. I would say this: if they're going to do this New Mutants thing, which I don't think is a bad idea, then oh, and I guess Anya Taylor-Joy is going to be a part of it. Thank you. One of our fans just pointed out to me she's going to be playing Magic in the movie. Okay. I hadn't heard that. I know Sunspot and Warlock are going to be part of the team. So is Wolfsbane and I think Cannonball. I think that's the lineup I read somewhere. But yeah, all right. That's pretty cool. But if you're going to do a movie like that, you do need to have bigger characters involved. So putting Xavier in there is a good move. Look, if they can get the Wolverine Deadpool team up movie off, great. You know what? Great. That's something that needs to happen. If you can get Hugh to at least do that, that would be great. Now, that might be a very hard thing to do with Hugh. Who knows? Problem with that is if you do that, then once again, you're using Hugh Jackman, and then you're holding off on, your creative development. If he's not going to continue as Wolverine, then what do you do? So, I mean, it's a very delicate thing because, unfortunately, you bridge this gap. You basically rebooted while keeping Hugh Jackman because you were allowed to. You could do that with the way everything played out. And everybody else around him has essentially been recasted, but you haven't recasted Wolverine. And now Wolverine's going to step away after you've already rebooted, and it's a complicated thing. It's a very complicated thing. I don't know what the right way to do is. I don't. I guess the thing would be to see if you can keep Hugh as long as you can. I think that would be the easiest solution, but, I don't know what the right answer is. All I can say is I think the idea of a Wolverine Deadpool movie is great, and I think the New Mutant idea is an even better idea if you have Xavier involved in it. So, Mike, anything to add?
About New Mutants?
Well, it's not even just New Mutants. It's, where X-Men, the whole franchise seems to be going. You don't know what's going on with Hugh Jackman. You don't know a lot of different things there. Bite on. But
I imagine that, I think New Mutants will probably happen.
Well, it's going to happen.
It'll definitely happen. I think they're going to get a lot of people on board for it. They don't need Wolverine for that, though.
Well, they don't.
They don't. Wolverine's not really what they'd call a new mutant.
They're going to use Xavier, I guess.
Well, yeah, because it's like an X-Men thing. And who's the leader of the X-Men? Charles Xavier, or Cyclops, or Wolverine, or Storm, whatever. Anyways, one of those people. But look, Hugh Jackman said this is going to be probably his last big Wolverine movie. But if they do a Wolverine and Deadpool movie, I think he might come back for that, and that might be the movie event of that year. So I honestly think this is probably the last big serious Wolverine movie we get, but once they get Deadpool, if they do a Wolverine and Deadpool movie just to be like Deadpool 3, then all bets are off. I think Hugh comes back to the role. I really do. And I don't think there's any way he doesn't, because he likes Ryan Reynolds. They have this love relationship. They have this interesting on-camera relationship, and I bet the characters would go great together because they do all the time in the comics when they're alive, when both of them are alive at the same time. So go for it. I want to see it. Make it happen.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
And the last bit of news before we get to our last little thing for the night. One of the most speculated things over these last couple months, because there has been 20 cancellations this year, or renewals, really. Seems like a lot of networks are waiting to see how things play out this year. One of the most speculated shows this year has been Girl Meets World. Because, if you know Disney Channel, they don't like too many shows going past a certain threshold. It's usually, 70 episodes or something. Very few shows get past that point. I think the Sweet Life might be the only show that kind of got past that point. And I think that's because they had two different shows. Girl Meets World stopped filming in the summer, and the last episode they filmed had a lot of the Boy Meets World cast come back, and that led people, and the title of it led people to think that it was a series finale. And then, of course, speculation went crazy for the next few months on will the show come back, will it not? Well, the answer was finally made today. I mean, Ryder Strong even said last week he thought it was done. The show was officially canceled today by Disney Channel. Now, if you've been following this saga, which has made its way onto several big sites, you know that everybody's been saying it should never been on Disney in the first place. Should have been on Freeform, or it should be on Netflix or Hulu, whatever. Disney held back the show. It could have been so much better. Disney, it was just a cash grab. I mean, a lot of different things going on. Obviously, people are petitioning Netflix. They're petitioning Freeform. There is a potential there for the show to find another home. Do I think it will? I think it's got a solid chance. However, let me just say this. This is an example of how sometimes this was a wonderful idea, okay? And I don't watch the show regularly. I watch the show whenever there's something I see something promoted that interests me, like Eric Matthews is on the show, or some of the old characters are on the show, stuff like that, okay? However, the idea was there. There have been many good episodes on the show. Usually when you blend the old characters with the new, that's usually the best episodes they've had. The love triangle thing played out okay because they played it. It was a more of a more mature storyline. It wasn't your typical Disney Channel storyline, and I think that's why it worked. That's what they should have been doing all along. That was their mistake. I understand it's Disney Channel, but honestly, if you look across the dial on Disney Channel, they have done mature storylines at times. Why they chose to make this show as over the top as they did, and not in the traditional Boy Meets World way, but in the cheesiest way possible, I don't know. And that was always what messed it up. It was just trying to make it too sugar-coated, if you will. If you watch the old Boy Meets World, the first season was like that, and then it left that behind, and that's when it became a classic. That's what this show should have done. It didn't. There were times it did, and when it did, it excelled. If it does end up on another network, hopefully it gets the freedom to be what it should have been all along. That's the idea. You can have these great ideas, and it was a wonderful idea, but they have to be developed right. And if you wanted to keep the majority of the audience outside of tweens and teens that don't know any better, and that's not a knock, that's just the truth, then you need to make a show that they're going to be interested in and that also draws back to the original show. It doesn't have to be exactly like the original show, but it has to draw back to it, and it did not happen. So hopefully that's what happens should the show get picked up. Also, I would say this. Some of the cast members were a little too outspoken. Yeah, it's great to have your beliefs and your ethics and your morals and stuff, and that's great. You can speak out about that. But in some ways, they were done. I don't know. Sometimes it was a little too much. Like it felt like it was constantly happening. And I'm not putting at any one actor or actress or any of them. You know what I mean? They're all great, and they all had a right to speak. Everybody has a right to speak their minds. Free country, free speech, all that stuff. I don't have an issue with that. I'm not knocking them, and I'm not even knocking their opinions. It wasn't so much the opinions. It's just that it felt like at times it was constantly happening in some regards, and I can't help but think that kind of factored as well. So we'll see. It'll be an interesting thing to see if it gets picked up. I think it has a good chance at doing that. And I mean, it could be for the best that it goes somewhere else. I mean, a lot of people thought even before the third season, they were asking it to be moved somewhere else. So hopefully it ends up somewhere and it becomes the show it could be. If it does, then they'll be better off for it. If it doesn't, then oh well, you know? Mike, any thoughts?
I thought it was a big loss. Everyone's like, well, Girl Meets World is getting canceled, but not this random shitty Disney show that is more hokey and more ridiculous. It doesn't have the quality and the history and the good writing and the great acting. So it was a bit of a gut punch, especially for people who loved Boy Meets World and who were really engaged with this show, because by far and away it was the best live action thing Disney had.
Yeah,
on their network by far. So it's surprising that they're going this route. Now, from when I saw this last night, there was a big push. There is a big push for the show to get picked up on network, on Freeform or Netflix, and apparently Netflix is interested. So I mean, the series could have new life, and you probably would want to keep them before, and you probably would want to keep these actors and actresses before they go away.
Yeah, you gotta get it done quick.
You have to get it done quick, or else you're probably not gonna see a continuation of this anytime soon. So I think there is a push on the creators to kind of move forward, but that's whether or not Disney will allow it. I imagine Disney would prefer them to be on Freeform, and it would immediately be Freeform's best show. Immediately Freeform's best show. So I don't think the story is closed on Girl Meets World yet, and I think they could continue to move forward.
Sure.
But they need to move fast, and they need everybody to be on the same page here. And yeah, there's a lot of the cast members were outspoken about it. A lot of the old cast members were outspoken about it. But the truth is, the show was quality, especially when I tuned in and watched it, show was fine. I usually just tuned in for the Eric Matthews ones because Eric Matthews was best character.
Easily.
So just be sure to catch that finale. Be sure to catch the finale, and and if you really want to see the show come back, don't just tweet. Send emails and call Netflix and Freeform and see, and see what you can do.
Yeah. You might hear something interesting.
Sure.
They announced a cancellation today, and then they got a Producers Guild nomination for Best Children's Program.
You don't say.
Yeah. Isn't that funny?
It makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? One of the benefits to dragging this thing out, because they finished filming, I think, in July, to dragging this out, is it kept the actors from finding. I mean, they're still getting paid, so it's not a bad thing. But it kept the actors at bay from getting other jobs. So a lot of the fans have been campaigning since July because there was a lot of rumors going right back to that point. So you've had a lot of the fans campaigning all along. So this is not something they just have to start up. They just have to keep pushing it. So I would think the window is probably about a month. If you can't get it done in a month, some of these actors are going to start finding work.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
it's a very especially with the younger actors, it's a very short window.
Sabrina Carpenter's in a bit of a demand right now, but
Very much, yeah.
I think she's got a bit of a Disney contract still.
She does, which is probably going to hold things back a little bit. But as far as her getting like anything that might interfere with the show,
Hmm.
but we'll see. Developing story, that's for sure.
Hmm.
Last thing for the night, and I'm going to speak very briefly about this because people are asking me, what do you think about the Golden Globes, which will be taking place this Sunday, hosted by Jimmy Fallon, the 74th annual Golden Globes Awards. By the way, Meryl Streep will be getting the Cecil B. DeMille Lifetime Achievement Award on Sunday. Um, that doesn't mean she'll stop getting nominated for awards. That just means she's going to get the Lifetime Achievement Award. Um, I just felt the need to point that out because she gets nominated for everything. I like Meryl, but Jesus. Um, Good Lord. She's nominated this year. Um, so um, I'm really pulling for Deadpool here because I think it'd be the biggest shock of the freaking millennium. Um, I'm really pulling for it. Unfortunately, given the way Hollywood is, how it's pushing La La Land, I don't see it. Um, I guess what I'm trying to tell you is I could see maybe them giving Ryan Reynolds the award before I see him giving the movie. Um, that's just a general feeling I get. Look, if you look at the nominations, I think there's a lot of very strong nominees, especially in the acting categories. I think La La Land's going to take musical or comedy. Um, I'm thinking Hacksaw Ridge for drama, but don't quote me on that. Manchester by the Sea or Hacksaw Ridge, one or the other is going to take it. Um, I'm leaning in the direction of Casey Affleck for actor, but Denzel is Denzel, and don't be surprised. It's between Affleck and Washington for actor and drama. Um, if I was looking at actress, I'm hoping for either Amy Adams or Ruth Nega. But I have this feeling they're going to hand it to I got this feeling they're going to hand it to Portman or Chastain. Just a general feeling I'm getting. Um, like I said, actor and comedy. We'll probably end up going to Gosling, probably, but I think Reynolds has a decent chance there if they want to throw a bone at Deadpool. Um, Probably a better chance than the movie has. An actress and comedy, I think Emma Stone should get it. We might have an Anne Hathaway, Meryl Streep deal here where, like that year, Anne Hathaway was the one that should get it, and she did. But people were worried about Meryl Streep. Well, in this case, Emma Stone should get it, but Meryl might take it. If not, and that Benning might be a wild card there. I'm not gonna go down every category. I expect Octavia Spencer to win for Hidden Figures. Um, don't ask me on supporting actor in a drama because I have no idea. I guess Dev Patel could be the guy there. Director, that's going to be interesting to me because I think the choice that a lot of Hollywood is pushing is Damien Chazelle for La La Land. But could you see Mel Gibson winning that?
Hmm.
That would be, oh, that they would be a little worried about the speech. But I mean, that might be the only that honestly of all the movie people nominated in that category, I think Mel's probably the one that deserves it. To be honest, but we'll see. Screenplay is going to go to La La Land. I know that already. That's a lock. Um, if original song doesn't go to Moana, I don't know. I lost all faith. Um, I will have lost all faith. And I think the most interesting award of the night, other than the Deadpool categories, Mike, is probably going to be animated film
Probably.
because if Sing wins, I'm done because that shouldn't win. It really should be a two-horse race from Moana and Zootopia, though I'm hearing some things about Kubo, so that's something to kind of keep an eye on. I'm going to say Moana wins that, but Zootopia wouldn't surprise me either. And that's just on the movie side of things. As far as TV, look, the TV nominations are horrible. Like the movie ones I can deal with. The TV ones are horrible. Um, I feel really bad because Stranger Things and Westworld and even Game of Thrones are so much better than This Is Us, but This Is Us is probably going to win drama. It's just a given, especially since it's on NBC. They're going to throw a bone. Don't ask me about comedy categories. I don't know. They'll probably give it to Veep again and bore everybody to tears. No disrespect to Julia Louis-Dreyfus, but come on. I think that you might see Rami Malek repeat for Mr. Robot. I think Winona Ryder is going to win for Stranger Things. I think she'll win that. Outside of that, I have no idea. Julia Louis-Dreyfus will probably win again. Jeffrey Tambor will probably win again. I expect The People versus O.J. Simpson to sweep pretty much. That's the miniseries categories. I expect them to sweep. As far as the supporting categories, it's probably going to be a combination of People versus O.J. Simpson and This Is Us, because that's generally the theme of this year. So I really don't have much stock in the TV nominations. I'm more or less watching for the movie stuff. So I'm not too enthused about this. I'm hoping for some surprises, particularly on the side of Deadpool, because that'd be cool to see. It'd be it'd be historic in a way. That's really all I'm tuning in for. But I'm not expecting I'm not expecting a pretty good night on this. So, Mike, any thoughts?
Don't care watching Sherlock. That night, don't call me for the stupid Golden Globes.
Well, I won't. Don't worry.
I'm telling you right now, don't call me for the Golden Globes. I'll don't care.
Be watching Sherlock.
I'd rather watch something that isn't a gigantic waste of time. Sherlock is a beautiful, beautiful show, and deserves your time more than these stupid ass Golden Globes. Sorry, not happening. Not interested. Don't bother me watching Sherlock.
We will see what happens on Sunday. Again, usually a pretty good indicator of the Oscars. We'll see what happens. All right. We got through everything. We are done for the night. Yay. It's always, just because the show is over, it's not mean you have to stop interacting and contributing to our show. You continue to have your voice heard. Send us your comments, reactions, opinions on things we talked about on the show, things we said. You can. We encourage you to continue sending in your feedback. We want your feedback. Topic ideas or breaking news items from sports, entertainment, or wrestling that you want us to cover. Questions or comments related to the show and the scheduling of the show. And of course, now the In the Spotlight Film Award process has begun. Remember, ballot request deadline is next Thursday, January the 12th at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure you get your ballot requests in before then. You can start doing those now. I've already gotten several of them, so please keep those coming in. Again, any award submissions can only be submitted by email only. So please do not Facebook or tweet us about any award submissions or send in any award submissions by Facebook or Twitter. You can ask questions and make just general comments by Facebook and Twitter, but please do not make submissions by Facebook and Twitter. All right, so all submissions have to be done by email for the awards only. So please make that in mind. So all that you can do by email, you can email us at itspotlight401@gmail.com. Of course, you can also follow us and tweet us at itspotlight401. Please remember to use the hashtag itspotlight401 for anything to tweet regarding our show. You can also find us on Facebook. Search for In the Spotlight 401 on Facebook, and then make sure you like our fan page upon finding it. We encourage you to follow us on Facebook and Twitter for the latest information about our show, especially as it relates to scheduling. Obviously, sometimes postponements and delays can happen at the last minute. To get the most current information about our show, the best way to do that is by Facebook and Twitter. So make sure you follow us so you can get the latest information. Of course, we also post random things on there too. So make sure you follow us on Facebook and Twitter so you can have access to all that information, all that cool, fun stuff. If you'd like to keep up with our show, you have a number of ways to do that. You can do that by streaming us on Google Plus and YouTube by searching for us with our title In the Spotlight 401. Then once you find our show pages on both Google and Google and YouTube, I should say, you'll have access to every episode we ever produced for Google Plus and YouTube. Everything from October 2015 right up into tonight's episode. All those episodes are available to stream anytime you wish. So if you like streaming us, if you like seeing us on screen, or if you're only interested in more recent episodes of our show, then you might want to do that. Look us up on Google Plus and YouTube. Just search for In the Spotlight 411. If you're more of a fan of audio podcasting, maybe you prefer to listen to us rather than stream us, Maybe you're interested in even older episodes of our show. If any of that applies to you, you might want to check us out on our main host sites, Podbean and iTunes, to search for In the Spotlight 411. And you'll have access to not only our recent episodes, but every episode we've done in the 6 years we've been doing this show. Everything from our debut on Blog Talk Radio in October 2010 through our Talk Shoe run. And of course, all of our Google Plus and YouTube episodes transferred into audio format for your convenience. Every episode we've ever done, in order from most recent to the oldest, is available to you on Podbean and iTunes on both show pages. They're available to you. So make sure that if you're interested in that, you search for us In the Spotlight 401 on Podbean and iTunes. So Google Plus, YouTube, Podbean, iTunes, all ways to keep up with our show. Look back at classic episodes. Maybe you're a longtime fan, let's look back at old episodes, or a new fan, let's look at those episodes for the first time. Just keep up with the show, missed a part of the show, whatever the case may be. You can do all that on Google Plus, YouTube, Podbean, iTunes. Just search for In the Spotlight 411. Again, search for In the Spotlight 411. I want to thank Mike for being here tonight. Thank you, Mike.
It is time for bed.
I want to thank myself for another great show, pat myself on the back, and thank all of you for your continued support and contributions to the show. Thank you so much for watching. To those that will be watching or listening to this later, thank you to you as well. Again, our third and final show of the week tomorrow, the In the Spotlight Football Blitz, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. Again, that could be pushed back, give or take. We'll make up for last week's lack of a football blitz, so we'll kind of cover all the bowl games we haven't covered yet. Look back at the last couple weeks in the NFL. Look ahead to this week's wild card weekend. All that good stuff coming up on tomorrow's football blitz. Again, tentatively scheduled for 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. Again, next week, 3 shows, Tuesday and Thursday at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Of course, the football blitz next Friday, currently scheduled for 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So 3 shows coming up next week: sports and wrestling on Tuesday, entertainment on Thursday, football blitz Friday. All that, of course, next week. Be a pretty normal week. We might do something special on Thursday, but I'll talk more about that on Tuesday. Again, keep in mind the In the Spotlight Film Awards ballot request deadline next Thursday, January the 12th, 9 o'clock. We need to get those ballot requests in over this next week, please. I think that's everything. So I hope you all have a great rest of your Thursday, a great weekend, and a great to those that won't be tuning in tomorrow to the football blitz, because I know some people don't. They wait till the end of the week. They wait till the weekend, wait till afterwards for some reason, because apparently they don't care about the predictions and how timely they are. We get a lot of later viewings. It's weird. So should you not tune into the football blitz tomorrow, I hope you have a great weekend as well and a great start to week next week. And those that do tune into the football blitz, I'll talk to you again tomorrow. But anyway, everybody have a good night, and we'll see you for the football blitz tomorrow. Have a good night, everybody.